Congresswoman Nancy Mace of South Carolina was on this program a few weeks ago, and I want to play something she said because she says she is anti-abortion rights, but she has an exception for rape and incest. How do you respond to her? Are you open to exceptions for rape and incest?
I think it's tragic what Nancy went through, and my heart goes out to every single woman who's had to go through that situation. I don't know what that's like. What I would say is that I believe every life is precious. Our trigger law does reflect that if it's to save the life of a mother, that an abortion is still illegal. And I just have never believed that having a tragedy or a tragic situation happen to someone is a reason to have another tragedy occur.
So
I would prefer that we
for rape or
continue to make
incest?
sure we go forward and that we're putting resources in front of these women and walking alongside them, getting them the health care, the care, the mental health counseling and services that they should need to make sure that we can continue to support them and build stronger families far into the future as well.
So no exceptions.
You know, this is a debate that's going to continue to happen from state to state.
There's South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem not answering the question, but answering the question whether or not she's okay with her state, their trigger law that just was triggered at the Supreme Court struck down Roe versus Wade, that would allow or force victims of rape or incest to carry their rapist baby to term. She's okay with that because, why do something horrible after one horrible thing has happened? Because who cares about the life of a mother? So there's Kristi talking about this whole thing, but she wants people to build their families around this whole thing, around their uncle's baby. Sometimes this is build a whole new family around that because that's the American way. Except her state doesn't really do anything about helping these families. Let's watch this.
We want to help support these mothers. I think we can do better in this country, making sure that we're walking alongside them in these situations and making sure that they do have the type of health care and the support financially that they need.
Well, let's look at that support. The Nonpartisan Commonwealth Fund, a social policy think tank, says the 14 states that have the most restrictive abortion laws, including South Dakota, invest the least in policies and programs for women and children. So what do you mean when you say these mothers will never be alone?
Well, I would say that the facts on the ground are that South Dakota is doing a lot to coordinate with nonprofits, with churches, and then also the state in a new way by launching this website and committing to in legislative session to support these mothers is incredibly powerful. This is a conversation that we have a change now at the federal level. The states will be each evaluating how they approach this situation. Getting health care to mothers, helping them during a time of crisis is incredibly important. And these states, remember, Martha, are overwhelmed right now with other situations that are going on, with what Joe Biden is doing to the energy prices in this country, what inflation is doing in this country.
It's almost like she's a running talking point, and a bunch of Republican, all of her handlers tell her exactly what she's supposed to say. So you hear all that? It was a lot of nothing. We're going to talk to churches and communities, and then send them to a website. A lot of vague points. There's specific points for what they're actually doing to people, though. Let's go to this. Because South Dakota is one of multiple states that had in place a so-called trigger law, which immediately banned abortion once the Supreme Court announced its ruling. That's according to the research and policy group Guttmacher Institute. Following the court's decision, all abortions in the state became illegal, quote, unless there is an appropriate and reasonable medical judgment that performance of an abortion is necessary to preserve the life of the pregnant female. This law makes performing an abortion either through a procedure or via medicine a felony. Weird, because there's specifics when it comes to what they're gonna do to punish people or how they're pushing this anti-choice law, but there's no specificity when it comes to helping folks where she said they're all gonna get all this help. So anyway, she's advocating for victims of rape to build families, like I pointed, around their family's kids if they get raped by their uncle. But she had some more dismissive words for people that are affected by this whole ruling. Let her continue, because she's not done.
Take the sensational pundit commentary out of it and look at the fact that what the Supreme Court did was fix a wrong decision that was made many years ago and now give the power back to the states. What they said is that the Constitution does not guarantee a right to an abortion. That means that each state will make the decision for themselves on what their laws look like, and that those women have an opportunity to speak to their elected officials there closer to home to make sure that their laws reflect what they value.
Okay, Kristi, so people should speak to their elected leaders close to home. You mean like maybe their governor, the one who represents that state only? Oh, that woman's name is Kristi Noem. And actually, her constituents actually did speak to this, and they spoke to them. You know what they did? They ignored them. Let's watch this last video.
In 2006 and again in 2008, South Dakota voters voted down ballot initiatives for a complete ban on abortions. Would you be willing to let the voters of the state decide the issue again?
They decide the issue every single year when we come to legislative session. They vote for their representatives to come to session.
Oh, they decide every year, except they decided those 2 times that you completely ignored. And after they decided it, you said, you know what? I don't care what you guys have to say. I believe this. So the state is run by me. What are your thoughts, Jackson?
So, I mean, the unfortunate reality is that this is no longer an idea, and that the negative repercussions of this are gonna escalate and be seen over the course of years because of what the Supreme Court did. We're gonna see increased levels of poverty in all age groups, child poverty. And because there will be increased levels of poverty, because more women will be having children who aren't prepared for it or who are forced to do so, especially under bad circumstances, there will be increased levels of crime. And there will be even more broken families, which unironically the conservative unit pretends to care so much about. This will lead to even more broken families. On top of the fact that all that is just taking away citizens' freedom of movement, because all of these things will just make it more difficult for people to really make any decision, especially women. Because I mean, if a woman is forced to carry to term, like that forever changes her life. There's many instances where if women are forced to carry to term, they could die because the pregnancy isn't healthy. And again, neither of us are the best people to speak about this, but we both know these things. This is why this is such a largely unpopular move that they made, because a majority of the country knows these things. And unfortunately, we're gonna see a lot more of Kristi Noem because she's a woman, so she can maybe help dull the blow a little bit. She's good looking, and she can just regurgitate the Republican talking points. So expect to see her even more on the national stage.
We definitely know that that's the approach. Make sure you get someone that's been affected in that community. Say it's not a big deal. You guys are overreacting. That's definitely the point.